Good afternoon. My name is Olivia Tolson, and we're going to be talking about World War I, the Great War, new technology and strategies. The Great War was like no previous war. Never before had so many people been directly involved in fighting or directly involved in the war. From this war, where many new and terrible ways to kill people were invented, so came many medical inventions. First one is submarines. The Germans used their submarines to attack merchant shipping. The British used their submarines for shore patrol. Is unrestricted submarine warfare immoral? These are some examples of submarines. This is a submarine on top of a boat which goes under the water. This is inside of a submarine. Sea mines. This was used by the British to close German harbors and keep the German Navy bottled up. They did not want the Germans to be able to leave, and they wanted to keep the German from going anywhere else. These are some examples. These are sea mines. They would put them in the water, and they would cause them to explode. Therefore, the Germans could not leave their harbor. Dreadnoughts. These were massive warships with long-range guns, which was a symbol of a country's power. The longer and the larger the range gun, it was the greater of the country's power. Only one major sea battle was Jutland, and the Great War was inconclusive, which means no one really won that one. These are some examples of dreadnoughts. Here's the warship, and here are the guns that extend off the warship. Machine guns. Machine guns were stationary instruments of destruction. They were designed to defend, not for offense, and they fired up to 300 rounds per minute. This is a .50 caliber. If you look at it, you can see all the ammunition underneath because it would 300 rounds per minute. There's some gentlemen with also a machine gun. The ammo was not as big as this machine gun. It's a little bit smaller because it's a one caliber machine gun. Tanks. Tanks are primitive, slow, ungainly vehicles to use against machine guns in trenches. The men or women would get into the tanks, they would roll towards the trenches, towards the men, and they would not get hurt because the machine guns did not go through the tanks. And as time went by, as we go into further wars, the tanks will get bigger and better. They also used mustard gas. It was used as a weapon of mass destruction to soften up an area before advancing. They would spread mustard gas, and it would make people pass out if they didn't have gas. They didn't have mask. Often was counterproductive, which means it kind of could go back on them because the residue of the mustard gas still stayed afterwards. And it had brutal effects on humans. Even today, they use mustard gas in training men and women in the military, but it does have lasting effects. These are some examples of mustard gas. Flamethrowers. These were used to attack trenches and clear out the defendants by shooting liquid fire. Psychologically, this was a horrible weapon to use on the enemy. Here's some examples of flamethrowers. If you look at these men right here, there's a gun that throws flames. Zeppelins. They would use these for observations of enemy positions and movements, used to slightly attack positions at night with bombs. These are examples of Zeppelins. They look kind of obligated, long air balloons, and they would go over different groups of people, and they could do bombs. Airplanes, also observation of enemy positions. Air-to-air combat, so you would have a German airplane versus a British airplane, and they would do air-to-air combat. Bomb the enemy behind the lines or the home front. There's some examples of airplanes. The Red Baron was a popular airplane during this time, during World War I. Then you had total warfare. They used propaganda to motivate the population, and then changing the industrial machine to meet the needs of military. So the industrial machine was changing. Population will have to make sacrifices. This was an example of propaganda. Sam would come and say, I will you for the U.S. Army. So people would want to go and enlist in the military. because someone said they wanted them. Together we win. As a group, the different branches of military would get together and have this concept where we can win together. Then they came up with the draft, and it was initiated to meet the needs of the military in a global war. It was also called conscription, and they would use the draft to get people into military, and you had to be a certain age, 18, to join the military. But typically, if you were the last born male of your name, then you would not be drafted. These are some examples of the draft. Once again, they had a registration card. This was Sam, come and say we need you. So here it says all males between the ages of 20 and 30 years, both inclusive, must personally appear at the polling place in the election district in which they reside on Tuesday, July the 5th, 1917, to register for the draft.